everybody, Stirker Time. Thank you for joining me once again for another episode of Ring of Honor Resurrected. And we are about 8 days away from Best in the World 2022. We have one show in between that. And we got to make sure that our broadcasting is up to snuff on this. I'm still a little concerned about how our broadcasting is set up in terms of actually getting us money, because it seems like we've been having issues with that, and I'm not really sure why. So, looking at it here, we have HBO Max, which we are running on, both our actual show, as we can see, as well as our pay-per-views. So we should be getting 30% generated revenue, but we got no revenue from the last pay-per-view, which is really confusing to me. So it's something we have to look at. It might be Honor Club. Maybe we have to not use Honor Club, and people were using that, and we were not getting any money from it. Fight TV, we have for, I want to say for broadcasting for international, but we should be getting something from it. So it is very weird to me. Because while money is not as much of an issue in the save, it is something we do want to keep in mind, simply because we don't want to consistently get into debt and then AEW deciding that it'd be better to just drop us, right? One of the other areas that we could look at in terms of gaining a little bit extra revenue, even though we did break even, is merchandising. Currently, we are in an upgrade path of normal, so we actually have a pretty good merchandising program. 5 out of 10 is not too bad. Make about $10 per popularity point per region each month from the mail-in order side, and it costs us $12.50 a month run. At live shows, you can expect to make about an average of $3 per fan in attendance. I don't know how this math ever made sense. Could you imagine going to a show, buying a shirt, and somehow only getting it for $3? I don't know. I know it's abstract, but it's very weird. So we could go up to rapid expansion. We give us about 4% growth progress. It's going to cost an extra $600 per week, versus $250 at 2%. Honestly, I don't know if it's worth doing, because we already are at comprehensive. We could see our breakdown of what we're making per worker. So last month, the Jacksons are definitely by far giving us the most revenue, and then Samoa Joe, and then FTR. Jackson's out. Honestly, what's really funny is the Young Bucks haven't been doing that much on the show, but I guess their reunion tour with Ring of Honor has been enough that we're getting some revenue from them. So that's interesting. That's super helpful. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I want to increase like ticket prices or even our merchandising upgrade. I think staying at normal is fine for now. I don't know if it's worth the extra $400 just to boost it up a little bit. So I think we're going to stay where we are for now. The other thing we can look at is production costs. We are lower quality than some of our rivals. NXT, we're not going to be able to beat in terms of Majestic. That would cost so much. Such a ridiculous amount of money. Once upgraded, your cost be $50,000 a month plus $75,000 per show to have a customizable set, high quality pyro, superb cutting edge. It's a real ridiculous price for the level of show that we are at. Honestly, $15,000 a month plus $10,000 a show is already kind of crazy. But that is about where we are. Green, by the way, if you've never looked at this, green means we're better than everybody at our level, and white means we are at the same level, and red means we are below. We never get a benefit. I hear a lot of people on, especially on like the Fantasy Bookers forum, on like on Reddit. Sometimes on like a couple other Discords, people will be asking about, production values and do I get a bonus? And the answer is no. You get nothing in terms of benefit of being higher production than anybody else. You only get penalized by being lower. So right now we're getting I think it's 2% to your overall. It's different for each production value. But we're getting about like 2 to 5% of a reduction of our total quality because we're looking not as good as NXT. But all these guys are getting a hit too because they're not looking as good as us. But we're only getting penalized once because it's just that one company. So it's not a huge deal. And I don't think it's worth spending the extra money for it. Overall, we are ultimately hitting our minimum production goals. We are only getting the way to upgrade this would just cost way too much. Like medium size event crew, $7,500 per show versus $2,500 per show. Like that's the only one that going from small to large might be okay. Because the price isn't really that substantial. It's still substantial, but we would not get penalized. Something to think about. I don't know yet. I don't think we're getting enough of a large experience in terms of our roster in terms of our gate that we actually need to upgrade. And ultimately, I don't think it really matters that much for us. So I would rather take the 2% and get some money. But I don't know. I might change my mind on that on the whim. We'll see. Anyways, we got a show to put on. Let's go ahead and get on over to our go-home show of Ring of Honor Wrestling. All right, we got our show here. Absent Workers, just Punishment Martinez, who we managed to steal from WWE. We were letting them go. Contract is still ongoing at the Fed, so we cannot take them yet, which is fine. We're going to go ahead and open a form. Again, let some of those negative moodlets kind of dissipate there. And where do we want to be? That's a good question. Our best spot is the tri-state area. Mid-Atlantic is actually our home. There's a substantial difference between our popularity between the two. So it's definitely something we're going to have to look at here. So let's go ahead and stay here in Mid-Atlantic, I think, is the best idea. We will go ahead and pick the best option. Go ahead and be generic. It's fine, whatever. Okay. We got a show to run. We had last week a main event with Bandito and Lio Rush. We had that Samoa Joe interview going after the Foundation. We had Daniel Garcia beating up people for the World Television title. So we have some storylines to set up. Really, the big one is Dalton Castle's match with if he faces Joe Hendry. If he loses, he can't have a match with him again. Obviously, we had the Fractured Elite struggling to win for the Trios belt. And we also have to set up our tag match, which is the triple threat going on. So we can't have the triple threat on the pay-per-view or we can't have both triple threat and the trios on the same pay-per-view. So I think we have to do the trios tonight, which will definitely probably be the main event, I'm thinking. So that's going to be definitely a focus for us going in, and then finally building up towards the pay-per-view. So let's go ahead, catch you guys on the flip, and we'll check out the next episode of Ring of Honor Wrestling. Alright guys, we are back with our go-home show of Ring of Honor Wrestling. It's always tough for these 95-minute shows to really get a lot in, but I think we set up what we needed to going into Best in the World. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we got. So we got Gates of Agony and Sydal Brothers in our pre-show. Again, giving Gates of Agony something to do, and I figured Sydal Brothers could handle carrying the match a little bit. We do have Gates of Agony defeat the Sydal Brothers in 11 minutes. Quan pins Mike Sydal with the Gates of Agony. Matt Sydal, obviously, in-ring performance is the strongest performer, with Toa Liona being the weakest link. Yeah, I mean, we're kind of limited in what we can do with these guys, so a lot of them are going to be on the pre-show. Trying to build them up a little bit, but I don't know how much we're going to be able to utilize them and get a decent score. Overall, though, I mean, 54 is not horrible, so as long as we have people that are much better, like Matt Sydal, we can pull off something at least, but we build up a little bit of momentum, a little bit of popularity for him. Speaking of which, someone's been off the show for a while, Deonna Purrazzo versus Maddie Rankowski. Maddie is not a great jobber for us. She only gets a 20. Deonna Purrazzo has a 60. Had decent wrestling overall, mostly carried by Deonna, who defeats Maddie in 10 minutes with submission, gives her a Fujiyama armbar. Not bad. I mean, 42. Deonna has been a little upset that she's been left off the show, so definitely going to make sure she's on the pre-show. And we got to figure out what to do with her, honestly. We haven't had a lot of time to develop and build her, but she is a consistently strong performer, somebody we should not sleep on in putting her back onto the show in some storyline segments and things like that, which we will get to in this show, actually. We start the show off with Bandito, fresh off of a strong win against Lio Rush in our main event last week. This had a great wrestling and a decent reaction for the crowd. We had a big work the crowd match here. Got to show up to a strong start with Alex Zane. Both of them flipping around, doing really good. Alex Zane looked pretty good. Bandito looking fantastic at 66. And we had a 20-minute match. Ends up pinning Alex Zane with a Revolution Fly. Overall, pretty good start to the show. And a good showing for Bandito. Afterwards, Lio Rush ends up attacking Bandito as he walks up the ramp. You know, Lio has had that attitude to him and kind of got humiliated at the last show, and is now taking it out violently on Bandito, letting us know that it's definitely not over. Chavo is looking on, kind of shocked at the whole thing. Lio does not attack Chavo, but just points the chair at him and then walks away. Lio going to a dark place and is showing that it is not over. And we get the crowd hotter. We advance the storyline here. We actually lose some heat for it, though. Unfortunately, it doesn't do as well as it could. But we know now that it is certainly not a one and done between the two of them. Meanwhile, Willow is having a backstage interview about the pay-per-view and what her plans are. And this is interrupted by Deonna Purrazzo, who was in our pre-show. And she pushes Willow aside, literally pushes her across the face and away to get into the mic. And she goes, you know, I have something to say. And obviously Willow's not looking super thrilled by this. And she goes, I am the former Ring of Honor Women's Champion, and I have been disrespected by this company for far too long. He's like, you're giving these losers like Willow here an interview about what her plans are on the next pay-per-view. Well, why is no one asking what my plans are for the pay-per-view? In fact, why am I not even on the show? Why was I on a pre-show match? The pre-show. And who's facing Mercedes for my title? Jordynne Grace, please. I have been completely disrespected in this company, and I demand a match at Best of the World. I demand to get the respect that I deserve. And Willow butts in. Now her characteristic smile clearly faded from her face and looking much more sincere as she looks at Deonna. I was like, oh, you want to be on the show? Well, I don't have a match either. So how about we have a match between you and me? Deonna looks at her and just starts breaking out laughing and goes, yeah, sure, why not? You better prepare. You're about to go into the big leagues, girl. So Deonna, upset, bitter. She hasn't been utilized, now pissing off Willow, and having a match together at the next pay-per-view. This does okay. It's 44. Deonna's a good mic worker. Willow should have good charisma. I kind of expect a little bit more, but again, we're a little bit capped by popularity here. So for all things considered, it's probably about as good as we're going to get out of this. Tracy Williams versus Josh Woods. We have a match with our pure champion, an exhibition match against Josh. It had a decent reaction from the crowd and had good wrestling. Tracy Williams does defeat Josh Woods in 14 minutes, gets a submission after a Texas Cloverleaf is applied to Josh Woods. Josh Woods had a 47. Tracy had a 61. Gives us a 59, which is a pretty damn good. It's about as good as we're going to get on the mid-card, so I can't complain about that one bit. Afterwards, Wheeler Yuta comes out and has been upset. Obviously, Tracy Williams, his former tag partner, beat him in the tournament, beat him for the pure title, and has kind of disrespected him and not given him any time. Tracy did kind of like try to originally offer some friendship to him, and Wheeler's been cold, and now Tracy's been cold, and the two of them clearly have kind of broken apart. Wheeler comes out to confront Tracy Williams. He's angry about being rebuked. And two of them get in a heated exchange back and forth on the mic. Hot Sauce eventually drops the bomb on him and says, listen, here's the problem, Wheeler. I'm going to square up with you here. And I'm going to level with you. You were never the right guy for this title. You were just the guy who happened to get the title. Okay, and in between the two of us, and I say this as a person who loves you, as a friend, I have always been the better wrestler. And you're good, but you've mostly just gotten lucky. Every step in the way, from partnering with me and having success that I helped build, or getting lucky but getting signed with AEW at the right time. You know, when the world was shut down and I was paid to stay home and forced to stay home, you got to be on TV in a private paid auditorium of no fans, showing who you were, showing the talent that I helped instill in you, and I taught you. And now I'm here, and I've already proven I'm better than you. And now I have the title that shows it. And you want to face me? Dude, I'm sorry, but you're not in my league. And again, I love you, but you never were. Wheeler, sad, angry, just demands a match. Demands to prove what it's worth. And he says that he wants a 2 out of 3 falls. He wants to prove who the better wrestler is, to end this once and for all. And he wants it for the pure match. And Tracy reluctantly kind of accepts. He doesn't really want to, but a 2 out of 3 falls match kind of seals it in for him. He's going to prove to Wheeler that he is better than him, and that he, that Wheeler is more of a fluke than Hot Sauce is. So we're going to get a pure match, a 2 out of 3 falls match for the title at the Best in the World pay-per-view between the former pure champion and the current one, former tag team, former friends. Should be a good match. Got the crowd hotter for this. Wheeler, of course, having a groundswell of support here, and William Regal on ringside here with Yuta helping him out. And, of course, we advance the story here with it. This is a 43. We have a quick video vignette just hyping up Lethal and Joe. We couldn't really have time to have any of them on the show, so we were just hyping up the fact that they have that pay-per-view match going into Best in the World. And we also get an announcement that Bandito versus... Why do I write Rush? Oh, no, I did. It was Leo Rush. I was about to say Bandito versus Rush. I was like, I don't have Rush. Why would I set that match? Bandito versus Leo Rush, the Blackheart, having a rematch. This time, no DQ. Something very rare here. We are going to have a bloody match. The two have a feud, and we do not want any disqualifications. We want a conclusive conclusive finish to this. Both parties agreed that they do not want anything in their way. So we know it's going to get brutal. Unfortunately, it only does a 37, but should be a very good match. We have a exhibition match between Jordynne Grace, our challenger for the title, versus Camille. Jordynne Grace quickly dispatches Camille in 6 minutes, gives her a fall from grace, Camille only has a 28. Jordynne Grace has a 49. Gets us a 40 going into the pay-per-view here, or for the segment, as we kind of finish off giving her a successful challenge here for building her up as a challenger, I should say, for the pay-per-view. We don't have Mercedes on the show, which we probably should have, but we just ran out of time. It just couldn't fit it. But we know that Jordynne Grace versus Mercedes is going to be for the title, and I'm not really sure where that's going to go, honestly. I could kind of go either way, and I'm not even sure how I want to settle it or not. We have a superb wrestling match with good heat. Unfortunately, it did drag at the end. It was just a little too long for an all-out pace. But we have the Righteous versus Adam Cole and the Young Bucks, the Fractured Elite. Adam Cole obviously have betrayed the Bucks on AEW, and the division is impacting them, and ultimately it does impact them because they lose the 6-man Ring of Honor championship to the Righteous, who return as the 6-man champions. Vincent pins Adam Cole, though it was supposed to say in here, but there was some quote-unquote miscommunication in the match where the Bucks kind of reluctant to tag in Adam Cole, and ultimately Adam gets looks good still, but clearly gets screwed over by his friends, quote, ex-friends in the tag match and trios match, and ultimately gets pinned to lose the belts. So we have the Righteous now as the 6-man champions. Young Bucks having a big match coming into the pay-per-view with the triple threat for the tag matches, and Adam Cole getting screwed over out of his reunion tour for Ring of Honor. This gets a 59, pretty good. Afterwards, Adam Cole's upset, turns around and gets double super kicked by the Jacksons. Adam Cole getting eliminated from Ring of Honor the traditional way, which is a super kick party. The Bucks kind of getting their revenge on him, and we write Adam Cole off the show because he was only here for the tag, or the 6-man tag titles, and obviously the Bucks have dispatched him. This gets a pretty good rating, 61, and we end the show with, after that, Adam Cole rolling out and FTR coming out to confront the Jacksons. Obviously the two of them are tied, and thus because of the couple weeks ago, that match that they end up having a draw on, or a double DQ, I think it was, timeout DQ. They are challenging the Briscoes together in a triple threat tag match. The two of them get kind of heated back and forth, leads to the Briscoes coming out, getting into their faces. Fists start swinging, and it ends the show with a big brawl between all three tag teams. With a 57, it's not too bad. Show overall is a 55, not too bad. We increased our popularity in all 38 regions, so fairly good overall as we go into our pay-per-view. Let's check our mail here. 500,000 views on HBO, which is a pretty solid. Overall, show went down really well. Feedback was excellent, so very good going into our pay-per-view. Pretty happy overall about that. Of course, we have our pay-per-view tomorrow night, so we have no time to really prep. We basically are running right into this. So I will catch you guys next time for our Best in the World pay-per-view. Thanks for watching. See ya.